Hey folks, welcome back to DCS, and today we're flying the MiG-19 Farmer in VR and with force feedback. My VR settings at the minute I found a really good balance where it actually looks good enough to use the raw footage, so this has sped up my video making process for VR enormously, so I expect to start seeing quite a lot more VR content from here on in. So we are taking off from the red line and pushing straight in towards the enemy. One of the things I've been trying to force myself to get better at is actually looking around in VR, because when I'm in flat screen using track AR, checking 6 and stuff is so effortless that I find retaining visual a lot easier. And it also means that when you're looking backwards you can still see the reports because they're always on your screen regardless, whereas in VR you kind of have to be looking the right way. So I'm making an effort to keep on top of the reports and track people through merges. So he just merged with an F5 through the head-on. Going up and over, he doesn't seem to be turning hard enough to actually engage me. The F5 is faster than the MiG-19 in a straight line. MiG-19 climbs back in the F5, so I think his whole strategy here was to basically just disengage and run away, which he very successfully does. You can see how quickly he opens up a gap. He's also lagging a little bit, but that's a discussion for another time. So I follow him for quite a while and he drags me back towards Krimsk, and I'm conscious of the fact that if I get too close I'm just going to get shot down by SAMs. So he's about 4 kilometers ahead of me right now, and I'm sandwiched between him and another F5, and Krimsk is back the way we were just facing, so I decided to peel off and focus on the guy that's coming in. And my assumption was that these guys were on comms and he was dragging me for this guy. And this is a good example of exactly what I was talking about, where looking behind me is kind of like too much effort for me to force myself to do it. So I just kind of hope that the angles don't line up for the enemy. So here we merge with this other F5. He like pretty badly Syrian lead turns and gives me a shot straight off the bat, which unfortunately I missed because I'm out of practice in VR, but I've just given my 6 to the other guy, and I hadn't realised that he just chased me and followed me through. So I've just given him my arse, and he's just shot me down with an M1J. So, learning experience. We need to pay more attention, we need to look around more, we need to keep on top of the reports and actually, like, not trust what I think is happening, but know by looking. Because then I would have known that guy had followed me through when I peeled off. So here we're about to merge with something else. Can't quite tell what it is from this distance, but as we get closer it's an F5, and I'm really sharking on the deck here, so I'm not sure if he'll actually know that I'm here. Doesn't seem to be reacting to me just yet, so I'm trying to time my turn just to roll out right behind him, and here he starts to react, so I'm guessing he must have just seen a report. Lots of weird desync and lag today. That guy just literally went through the floor. We managed to clip his rudder, and in the F5 that's a death sentence. The way that the jet is modelled, even if there's a lot of vertical stab remaining, it just puts you in a flat spin and there's no recovering from it. So quite clean, quick and easy kill on that guy. Push out a little bit and get some SA back, and we also climb to just retain a bit of fuel because I didn't bring bags with me this time. We get a call out for a guy on the deck 7 kilometers away. Now with the closure rate on these jets, 7 kilometers is going to take a matter of seconds to close if you're head to head. I thought it was odd this guy was on the deck at that range and not climbing up to me, so it makes me think he's probably carrying ground ordnance of some description and hoping that I don't see him. But as I turn around and spot him, he is actually turning back in relation to me, so I think he must have seen the report for me around the same time that I saw the report for him. Either that or he only just started paying attention to them, so I must have been on the reports for a while at that altitude. We can see it's a phantom though. I don't think he has visual on me. He's turning into me but not at me, which makes me think that he's only looking at the bearing and not the altitude. And then he reverses his turn at the worst time ever for him, and he just gives me a 6. The missiles on this thing are not very good. You basically need them to be flying in a straight line. I tend to only use them if I'm outnumbered and want a quick kill, or if I'm trying to chase down something that's much faster than I am. Phantom tries to go vertical, but he started from a really low energy state, so we're going to be able to follow him through this no problem. At this point, his best defense is to just run in a straight line and hope that I don't fox to him. But here's the F5 from the first sight that shot me down. And because he just merged head on, I assumed I'd have a good few seconds to mop this guy up and then switch my attention, but he turns around so fast. He looked really quick as we merged, but he still turned around quickly. We do get the most beautiful kill ever on that Phantom, but we die immediately afterwards, so I'm still getting complacent. And that guy has now killed me twice in a row. This is the only person that's killed me so far. Shout out to Sky Daddy, because that's who it was. I don't think that he was necessarily... I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but he wasn't actually dogfighting me. He was just basically ambushing me when I was unawares or not paying attention, which is really the way that most kills happen on this server. But anyway, we've merged with this other F5, and the whole time I was constantly thinking, God, I wonder if it's that guy from earlier. So I'm kind of hell-bent on getting revenge at this point, to be honest. We just had another one merge overhead to our left, so there's two here now. Haven't yet seen the second one, just checking against the reports and maintaining my speed. And here I get eyes on the second guy, so they are both in a right-hand rate, which is good for me. If I can keep them both on the same side of me, then I can control the fight even though I'm outnumbered. The best thing that anyone can do if they're flying on a two-ship is not turn the same way if they encounter anyone. Someone should always fly one circle, the other one should always fly two, and then you basically working inside or outside of each of the circles instead of giving the enemy angles on both of you at the same time. So we come around on the first one. He looks pretty slow, so I was hoping for a missile shot, but the aspect's just not right. He's pulling way too hard. We go for a lead shot, but I'm out of practice. One of the really nice things about VR is that because you can move your head around wherever you want in the cockpit, there's no restrictions whatsoever, then it's actually really easy to like lean up over the nose and get a much better lead angle while still having eyes on the gun sight in a way that you just can't in track out. Here we bail out of the one circle because the reports say that the other guy is 2.8 kilometers away and hot, which is basically within Fox 2 range, and they get A9Js, which are brutal. I can't really afford to give them more than a 90-degree side-on aspect. So we switch our attention to the other guy that was 2.8 kilometers coming in, which is, he's just passing us there on the left. And by rating left like this, I can see both of them again now. We've got them both in a left-hand rate. So even though one of them extended away and came back in, they're both just offering the same angles to me. The guy that just took a pot shot at me, that was a really high aspect shot, which tells me he must have pulled pretty hard to get the lead, which is obviously going to bleed his speed off. So I'm starting to do a bit of a gentle spiral climb to force him to climb and turn hard to get the shots on. And I assume that that'll take him a longer time to turn around back onto me so I can focus on the other guy. Unfortunately, I lost viz on both of them doing that, and by sheer fluke I just fall back on the original guy who seems to be running out of fuel, which is good for me. And as we loop up and over after missing the easiest shot of my life, I find the other guy again, so this works out like just kind of weirdly well. Doesn't usually happen like that. But now we can focus our attention on this guy. And if you watched my previous, or one of my previous MiG-19 videos, there are a lot. There are playlists on the channel for server and aircraft in case you're interested. But I did a video on the MiG-19 talking about the ARU system. And in that I said that I basically just play the MiG-19 like a one-circle fighter, even though really its strength is two-circle because of how good its energy management is. Because of the adversaries that you face in DCS, you can one-circle them as well because the MiG-19 has such insanely good acceleration and climb rate that if you do end up getting slow through something like a rolling scissor, it doesn't matter because as long as they're slow as well, you can out-accelerate them. So by literally just playing noob mode HUD BFM, we get on the 6 of this guy. I totally fumble that first missile because you have to hold them in the... there's no uncage on this thing, you have to hold them in the bore so whilst you fire, and it takes like 4 seconds for the bloody missile to come off the rail. It's a pain. But we managed to mop him up with the second missile, and at this point I've lost SA and I know that the other guy basically crashed because he ran out of fuel, but there were reports from another contact, and I've really foolishly thought they were for the dead guy that crashed out without fuel. And they weren't. Guess who they were from though? Frickin' Sky Daddy again. So we've died 3 times to the same guy, and they're my only deaths so far. So I'm really gunning for this guy now. I'm making it my mission to try and kill him. And I think I'm sick of being snuck up on because I'm low, and if I'm low then people can stay underneath the radar reports, so instead I'm going to play for altitude. On this occasion it just happens to be that there's someone up here already anyway. I think it's the same Phantom from earlier that was slow and attempted to ground pound, except he's tried a different strategy, but he still isn't reacting to me on the report. I zoom climb up here, maintaining about 800 kilometers an hour through the climb, and he's not even that fast when he's already up here, so I almost felt bad, but he had ample time to do something and react, but he waits until I'm literally on his 6 before he does it, and he's so slow that even the K-13s on this thing can pull the turn and kill him. So we dive straight back down to the deck because I'll have been on the reports for that. And then I find a friendly Skyhawk and I sort of stick around him for a while until I see an F5 buzz in on the deck, super stealth mode, missile him unawares and then bog off. And I'm 99% certain this is Sky Daddy. So I'm tailing him, I'm using altitude, he's dragging me very close to Kremsk. And I don't want to get close enough to it to get shot at by SAMs because I don't have an RWR, and I also don't want to get low enough that people can shark me without me knowing that they're there on my own reports, because I'm so far from my friendly EWRs that the coverage is going to be both weak and inaccurate. So we climb. And the idea here is to hide in the cloud banks. And it's actually surprisingly difficult to stay inside the clouds in VR. It's kind of weird because in Track AR, obviously I'm just looking at my monitor and I'm conscious of the surrounding world all being like horizon level because I'm not actually like rotating or rolling or anything. But in VR, it's hard to shake that feeling that I actually don't know what orientation I'm in. It's weird. So I'm actually relying heavily on my attitude direction indicator on my HSI to try and keep me in the clouds. And I'm trying to stay high enough that I break visual contact and force them to climb above the clouds to see me, because I will see them breach the clouds. And I perform way better up here because my thrust to weight ratio is just bonkers. Also, they have an AWACS up, which is that thing in the cons over there, which explains a lot about my difficulties up to this point, because me staying really low isn't going to be as effective as it is for them if they've got an AWACS up. But anyway, I just heard a sonic boom. So he turned back hot in the direction that the reports say that the guy was in. And we're just trying to stay just above this cloud level so that we'll easily see them breach through it. There are 3 of them within 5 kilometers. So here I'm just using my ADR to keep me horizon level. I don't want to lose altitude or gain it, I want to stay in the clouds. I'm pointing myself to the east because that's the direction of our lines, because I don't want to be this close to Kremsk. One of them within 5 kilometers, one of them within 8. So I'm just checking my altitude against theirs because I know that I'm in the clouds. I'm at about 6,000 meters if I remember rightly. If they're less than that, then I know that they won't be in the clouds, but anything from like 5.5 to 6 and a bit, they might be hidden. So there are currently 3 of them hot on me. One of them's flanking, but they're they're not like danger range just yet. But I have managed to pull them away from Kremsk quite a lot. So we're going to turn back in. That might be a control from one of them, like zoom climbing up and then back down. But I've got about 1 kilometer of altitude on both of the closest guys. So I'm just circling to see if they'll breach the cloud layer again. sonic boom, and there is one of them. Don't know if he's seen me yet, but he almost certainly will, so we turn those onto him as quickly as we can. The other one isn't far behind. He's 5.7 kilometers altitude, which is, you know, breaching the clouds any second level. So this guy dives through the clouds to break contact, and if I follow through now, he will know exactly where to look to expect me to appear, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to level out, I'm going to stay within the clouds, I'm going to head north for a little bit, and then before I breach through the clouds, I'm going to turn back to the east so that I'm always dragging them back towards my lines rather than staying around theirs. That separates them from Krimsk and the SAM cover, as well as general support from the rest of their team, and helps me isolate a smaller number of them to deal with at once rather than just getting overwhelmed. And staying up high like this guarantees that none of them can sneak up on me. So here we dive down, I can immediately see two of them. I've got to make a decision as to which one to go for. If I go for the one on the right, then I'll give my 6 to the one on the left. But the one on the left just dived under the lower cloud layer and went out of burner. So I'm going to focus on the one that's higher up, because there's going to be clouds between me and the other guy, so even though I'm giving my 6 to the other guy, there'll be clouds blocking his line of sight. And hopefully, we can mop up this one before the other one comes back and causes a problem. I don't think that guy saw me until I was almost gunning him, so it's a shame I couldn't pull a little bit more lead. He definitely knows that I'm here now because he's reversing his turn to go one circle with me. The F5 can one circle better than the 19, but if I slow myself down to the point where I'm stalling and use my landing flaps, then I should be able to stick with him, and I'll be able to out-accelerate him as mentioned before if we do both end up getting super slow, so it doesn't actually matter particularly that the F5's handling is better than mine, because I can just force myself to like stall levels to slow down enough to stop him from forcing an overshoot. So the other one is closer than he was, but he's still on the deck, and the reports say that he's currently cold, so I'm going to continue focusing on this guy. And we are still offensive, this is still going quite well. I just need to not suck and aim better. That report says that the other guy is 2.8 kilometers away and flanking. And because we're turning through this, I'm not super worried, because by the time he gets close enough to launch, I'll probably have changed aspect again and he'll still not be able to get a shot. So I'll continue focusing. I managed to clip that guy's wing off, so now there's only one more to deal with. But he's gone off the reports, and we don't see him again. And I asked in chat, it was Sky Daddy, and he said that a microstar made him crash. So I was robbed of my revenge again. So here we can see a guy off to our 1 o'clock. Not sure what it is just yet. Smoke makes me think Phantom though. And we literally only just took off, so I think this guy's going for a run on our airbase. It is a Phantom. They were extremely unlikely to hit head-on shots, but I thought I'd give it a go all the same. And I would assume this is the same guy as before, because he is so slow. I don't know why this guy was he was constantly flying around slowly. So slowly that even after doing a 180 I still managed to catch back up to him. And here you can see how in VR I'm leaning in super close to the HUD glass, holding the gun sight really close to the top of it. And it gives me the option to pull lead in a way that you just cannot do in track AR, because getting these angles is just really difficult because you can't get this close to the glass. It kind of puts a limit on how far forward you can lean. But we nicely mop up that Phantom. I really want to get properly good and satisfyingly consistent with the guns on this thing before it ends up getting pulled from the game. Merging overhead with another Phantom. Similarly seems unfazed by me being here, but we are quite close to our lines at this point, so it's possible that I'm not on their reports. I don't know if they've still got their AWACS up or not. He does start to react to me, or possibly could be reacting to the ground fire that he's taking. so I decided not to go for the missile shot. He definitely knows I'm here because he wouldn't have ditched everything otherwise, but he keeps like snap turning, he's like pitching way too hard and it's just going to make him really slow. The Phantom does not have a very good instantaneous turn. If you do try and utilise it, it just turns you into a brick, and it has utterly abysmal low speed performance. You really need to maintain like 450 knots or above in the Phantom for it to be in any way competent in a dogfight. This guy's also lagging really badly. I feel like those shots were quite close. I'd love to land a shot like that, it'd be absolutely awesome. So he starts to climb from basically no airspeed at all in front of a MiG-19, which is one of the most insane climbing fighters of this fighter generation. And we managed to land some hits once my gun sight stops being blocked by the sun. He seems to be pretty out of control in like an inverted flat spin, but we're going to follow him to make sure he does actually crash. Yep. Running in, I can see another guy high to my 12. He was to the direct south of our front line when the enemy lines are to the west. So he was a really long way from his own reports, his EWR stations. And he was in quite hilly terrain, so I actually managed to sneak up on this guy and he never knew I was there. And I finally secured my revenge on Skydive. It felt quite hollow though. I always think it's quite boring to kill people with missiles. I would opt to kill them with guns every single time, but I just didn't want to risk him running away again because the F5 is faster, and I know that his playstyle was to be really passive and ambush people, so I couldn't run the risk of him just running me back to Krimsk. And then here I was going to go and land because there's only about 7 minutes left before the server restart, but this Phantom came in within 15 kilometers, and I thought it's going to be really tight, but we'll see if we can't mop him up because this will be our 4th kill of the sort. And we still had a missile left, so we'll loose that off and knock him down with that. But I don't even know how that missed, honestly. Probably lag, if that's anything to go by. But you can't lag dodge bullets, apparently. Anyway folks, hope you enjoyed that video. Thanks a lot for watching. If you like the way that I've found this balance for VR, then let me know. Check out the links in the description to help support the channel, including Pimax's VR store in case you want to grab one of these headsets for yourself. We're using the Pimax Crystal Super Micro OLED version today, although the QLEDs are $200 off until I think July, it might be June, don't quote me, but check the website in the link anyway. Nice smooth touchdown. Nice and easy to land the MiG-19. I'm going to be so sad when this thing gets removed from the game. I feel like I should just fly this in the Mirage 2000 and nothing else until I can't anymore. But anyway folks, thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.